Well, hello and welcome to another edition of the DC Capstone Report. It's great to be back with everyone after a couple of week hiatus here. This week's podcast on Alabama football, and we really appreciate you tuning in. Lance and I really appreciate each and every one of you who listen to our podcast every week. Thank you for giving us a couple of weeks break after Alabama's victory in the SEC championship game. And this week we come back with the podcast, and in this week's podcast, in the first segment, we're going to review the bowl prep week. In our second segment, we're going to take a look at our players to watch in the upcoming game against Michigan. And in our third and final segment, we're going to preview the upcoming game against the Michigan Wolverines in the college football semifinals. You're listening to the DC Capstone Report. The DC Capstone Report is featured each Tuesday morning on the Martin Houston Show at Tide 100.9. You can listen live at Tide100.9.com. Well, welcome back to the DC Capstone Report. It's great to have everybody back listening. I want to thank Lance, as always, in the studios, making things happen, getting everything produced so that we can do this podcast each and every week. Well, here in the first segment, we're going to review the bowl prep week. And it has been an opportunity for Alabama to take some time off. Right after the SEC championship game, there was a lot of time off that took place. A lot of things have happened in the weeks, a couple of weeks has transpired since the SEC championship game. The players were given a little time off to get some rest, and then the coaches were on the road recruiting. Had a big recruiting time that happened finally yesterday in the early signing period. Took place yesterday, and Alabama signed 19 of the new commitments, a lot of which are on campus already. You know, you got people like Julian Sayin already in the practices that are helping with the bowl prep. So a lot of great things going on. I think Alabama signed the second-rated class in the nation. Flipped the local kid here from Tuscaloosa County High, a running back from Miami. Flipped a wide receiver from Texas. So just some really good movement there, and still has an opportunity to sign a greater class in February. As things shake out with the final selections, but a lot of busy things going on within the program. In the off season, since we've been here, since we've been back with you, they hired an analyst, a coach that had been here before and knew the system. He actually also used to work for Michigan, so he'll provide hopefully some intel on the Michigan Wolverines in preparation for that game, but also give them a chance to kind of game plan for Michigan while everybody was on the road recruiting, and as they came back, he was able to give them a good game plan, kind of review the film, break down the film for them. So that was a good addition as well. The bowl prep has started back, practice has started up, and so what do you hope to see happen during that time? Well, first of all, during that time of rest, I think the number one thing for this team is it was a long, grueling season, and I think they needed rest, both physically and mentally. Playing football, and this time of every year, every game since the loss to Texas was a playoff game. They had to win every game, and they did so. A lot of pressure mentally, a lot of physical bruises and bumps. So hopefully that week or two that they had off there, a few days they had off, gave them an opportunity to recenter mentally and physically and get refreshed. The second thing you hope is that they're able to carry the momentum into this game. You know, it's hard to peak and win the SEC game, big game over Georgia, big rivalry game, and not to peak your season. You don't want it to peak there. So giving the time off was really a good thing because it allowed to enjoy that win for a little bit, and then understanding that, hey, Alabama made the college football playoff. They came in as number 4 team. A lot of people are still naysaying, don't think that Alabama should be there, don't think that Florida State should have got in. So they're able to hopefully capture that. That's still that naysaying mentality, and help them to catapult them into this game against Michigan. They'll be an underdog. They're the number 4 seed against the number 1 seed out there in the Rose Bowl. So hopefully they'll be able to capitalize on that momentum, to regain the momentum and push them into this game against Michigan. The third thing you want to see is good energy. Come out of the rest, come out of the relaxation, come out of the recentering themselves and get them in a position to play. Good energy. And I think that the fourth thing you want to see, of course, is the game planning. Having enough time giving Coach Saban enough time to put the game plan in against Michigan. There's a lot of film out there. on Michigan. A lot of opportunities for them to see what they do. And I believe this is a great time during these weeks of bowl prep, to instill a great game plan. You give Coach Saban this many weeks to concentrate on team. He always comes out with a good game plan, both offensively and defensively. And I think that's what you're going to see in this. So if you review all the things you wanted to do, let's see what's happened. Well, I've heard Coach Saban in his press conferences since the bowl practices have started, saying that, hey, they've been able to recenter and energize and really get that momentum back. I've also heard him say they've had good energy in practices, and I think that's a key. And I've heard him say that the other players have come in and they've got their mindset back, where they got their eye on the prize, which is the national championship, and this beating Michigan is the next step in that. You know, we said that if this team could come together and gel together, this might be the best team ever, and that is looking like the case, that Alabama has been able to take this team, gel together. They look like they're playing for that team mentality. A lot of individual talent on this team, but really playing for a team mentality, and that is what we're seeing coming out of these bowl prep practices. So just an overall review of it, looks like that we've accomplished what we wanted to in the rest, the recentering both mentally and physically, the gaining of momentum, again, as those naysayers out there still saying, I heard somebody say yesterday Alabama shouldn't be in, that Florida State should be the national champions if Alabama wins. So I don't think anybody's going to let that die. They need to take this naysaying thing right on this game against Michigan as an underdog and use that. And the good energy that's coming out of there, plus the game planning, give us an opportunity to really play well and do well against the Michigan Wolverines. Well, welcome back on the second segment here on the podcast. Welcome everybody back to the DC Capstone Report. We're glad that you're all tuning in. I want to thank Lance Shores, as always, as doing our preparation and getting things ready in the studio so that this can be produced. He does a great job of doing that. I want to thank his sites, RollTideBama.com and FreelancePictures.com, for always sponsoring the podcast. Go out there and look at his website. It's got a lot of great Alabama content leading up to the college football semifinal game against Michigan. And also our sponsor that allows us to be with you each and every week, Karen Cottingham with the Williams Group at Keller Williams, realtor right here in Tuscaloosa. She's there all the time for all your real estate needs throughout the state of Alabama. Call her at 205-887-4008, or you can reach her on her website and look at the inventory she has available right now at www.KarenTheWilliamsGroupAL.com. That's Karen Cottingham with the Williams Group at Keller Williams for all your real estate needs. Again, 205-887-4008. Well, back here on the second segment, we'll look at the players to watch in the upcoming game against the Michigan Wolverines. Well, I think we start on offense to look at players, and I think there's none other player to watch in this game than Jalen Milroe. I believe Jalen Milroe is going to be the reason we can defeat Michigan, the reason that gives us the edge against Michigan. The one thing that we'll see when we get to the third segment, we talk about game planning for Michigan. I believe Jalen Milroe will be a very big, crucial part of the game plan. So watch what he does. How does he manage the game? How does he get us in and out of plays? How does he protect the ball? And how does he use his legs to extend plays? And then how does he take advantage of the Michigan Wolverines secondary for explosive plays? So I think Jalen Milroe is definitely a player to watch. Another player to watch on offense has to be Isaiah Bond. Building on his momentum that he's received in the Auburn game, coming out of that game, right into the SEC championship game, he had some great plays. I think, again, on offense, see how the team's going to game plan to use him, use his speed to get him isolated against some defenders that are possibly slower than he is, and get some great matchups. I think that he is going to be a really good asset to us in this game. And as we're talking about wide receivers, I think Kendrick Law and Burton are going to have good games in this game. There'll be mixed matches as well. Maybe Mari Nyblack, somebody else to watch in the tight end, he might have a mismatch. The player on offense, I think, has an impact that may be a surprise to you. I believe it's Jam Miller. We've had that player sometimes that stepped up, that's played a little bit sparingly, but then they step up in the playoffs and make some contributing plays. I think Jam Miller is the player to do that in this game. Jace McClellan has been hurt. Jam Miller's had some more playing time. And I think he is going to be an isolated difference maker against the linebackers of Michigan. And against the edge rushers of Michigan that have to cover him, and when we get them isolated in certain coverages, if we have enough wide receivers and tight ends in the pattern, then Jam Miller going out in a flat on that wheel route is really, really a play that can take advantage of against Michigan. So watch for Jam Miller to really do his thing in this game. On defense, I think the key to this game is going to be defensively stopping the run, and I think that all starts and ends with Deontay Lawson. Deontay Lawson is, in my opinion, the difference maker on defense for this game. He'll be the one that will be able to run, show his speed. I think the SEC speed versus the Michigan speed on offense, Alabama has the advantage. And definitely Deontay Lawson going sideline to sideline making plays. He's been a difference maker in the game against Auburn. He stepped up and did the same thing against Georgia. And it's fair to say that Michigan is going to pound the ball and try to run the ball and win this game by running the ball. So Deontay Lawson is the key, I think, to make sure we're in the right plays, get us in and out of the right sets, communicate well with the defensive line to get the gaps covered, and then be able to pursue the runners and pursue the ball and get the ball stopped. So I think he's a key. Another key, I think, on that defensive line is Justin Eboigbe. I believe that he has an opportunity to really contribute here, along with Jaheim Otis and Tim Smith, Tim Keenan. Then you got Eboigbe. All of them are going to be very instrumental in being gap sound. But I think Eboigbe is a leader on that defensive line. So I really believe that he has an opportunity to step up in this game and be a difference maker to get that run stopped. And if they can do their job of stopping the run and put Michigan in passing downs, then look for the edge rushers in this game, Braswell, Dallas Turner, and Q Robinson, to have opportunities to really affect the quarterback and maybe make some big plays that cause some turnovers in this game that change the course of this game. So I look for our defense to really step up, and those are the players I think to watch. So we got a lot of players to watch in this game. Great opportunities on offense and defense to take advantage of mismatch and matchups. So look for Jam Miller, Isaiah Bond, and Jalen Milroe on offense, and then look specifically for Deontay Lawson and Justin Eboigbe on defense to have a big impact in this game. Well, everyone, welcome back to the DC Capstone Report. Here on the third and final segment, we're going to preview the upcoming game against the Michigan Wolverines. Well, Michigan is number one in the nation. They're going to go in as a favorite over Alabama in the Rose Bowl, two winningest programs. They're going to show that Michigan is still the winningest program, and Alabama is the second winningest program in the history of college football. And then we're going to have an opportunity to show on the field who's the best team. Alabama will hear for the last 4 weeks that they shouldn't be in the playoffs, that they don't deserve to be there. And I believe they're going to carry a chip on their shoulder in this game that's going to be get emotionally driven to get this game won. But it won't just be emotion that wins this game. There's some key things, I think, in this game that's going to happen to win the game. Now, as in any game, I think the keys are to limit the turnovers and mistakes, number one. Alabama needs to limit their penalties and limit their turnovers, make sure we don't have any turnovers in the game. If we can do that, then this game sets out on an even playing field. And on an even playing field, I think Alabama has the upper hand both on offense and defense. So on defense, the number one thing we will have to do is to stop the run. Michigan is going to run the ball. I don't believe they'll go away from their game plan all year long, which was to run the ball. There were games in which they didn't throw a pass and a half. They ran the ball. They have a good offensive line, and they have an opportunity to run the ball. If we can stop the run and put Michigan in uncharted territory, which would be to have to throw the ball, I think it would be critical in this game to really make this game a big win for Alabama by a wide margin if we stop the run and force them to throw the ball. By stopping the run, we put them in positions where we can advance our defensive ends in on the quarterback and affect the quarterback's play. So how do we stop the run? We got to use a good defensive line to be gap sound. And then, as I said before, Deontay Lawson, Jihad Campbell, Tresman Marshall have to be flying to the ball, sideline to sideline, to stop the run. Now, we have to be careful and don't get sucked in on play-action passes that would cause them to get chunk plays or big plays. We got to rely on our secondary to be ready for any pass plays that might come up. and not be fooled. But if we concentrate on stopping the run, I really believe we put them in positions to have to pass. Then our second thing is pressure the quarterback. Their quarterback McCarthy is really good. He can run the ball, he can throw the ball, but Alabama's defense is built, if we can stop the run, to put pressure on the quarterback with our edge rushers. And I think if we can put pressure on him with our edge rushers and some of our blitzing safeties and linebackers, then we're going to put them in positions where they're going to make mistakes, and there'll be big plays in this game made on turnovers with interceptions or fumbles, sack fumbles, that'll make a difference in this game. And so on defense, if we stop the run and then pressure the quarterback, I think we're going to have an opportunity to really, really show who the best defensive team is in this game. On offense, we got to run the ball. We have to run the ball. Our offensive line has to win the line of scrimmage. I believe we're going to have to win the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, just like we did against Georgia Bulldogs game. And we're going to have to beat them with our defensive line on the line of scrimmage, and we're going to have to beat them on the offensive line. But the most important thing on offense is our offensive line to block well so that we can run the ball. And if we can run the ball on Michigan, man, it will open up so many things that our game plans have been put in to do. So running the ball is important. I think blocking well is important. The thing that we need to do is there needs to be a game plan for Jalen Milroe to run the ball in this game, whether it's design quarterback runs or read pass options where he reads the players and keeps the ball. Whatever it is, he needs to run the ball in this game. I don't think Michigan has seen a quarterback. I think the only quarterback that they've played that comes close to a dual threat in the Big Ten would have been Talia Tagovailoa at Maryland. And I don't think he has the skill set that Jalen Milroe has. I don't believe they've seen the speed that Jalen Milroe has or the ability to throw the ball on the run and rollouts like he does. So I believe if he can run the ball, it will set up some great play-action passes. It looks like when watching the film that Michigan is susceptible to play-action passes. They try to stop the run so much that they bite a lot of times. And when they bite, you got some players running free downfield, and that's where Bond, Burton, and Law, Black will come in with big chunk plays, I believe, on those play-action passes. So run the ball, block well, run the ball, Milroe run the ball, and then explosive plays for play-action passes. I think that's the way that Alabama wins this ball game. And not only wins this ball game, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Alabama dominates. I think everybody's thinking it's going to be a close game, but I don't think so. I think Alabama comes out and dominates, gets ahead early, puts Michigan in throwing downs, makes some explosive plays on turnovers and even some scores on turnovers, and makes a difference in this game. So I believe Alabama wins this game by a healthy margin, and I think Alabama comes out and establishes they're the best team by far in this game and have the opportunity to play for a national championship. So I got at the very end of the game, Alabama winning by a score of Alabama 35, Michigan 24. And I don't think it's really that close. I think Alabama gets out to a lead and Michigan scores some late to tighten the score. I think Alabama wins 35-24, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's 35-17 as well. I believe our defense is going to be able to hold them and do a good job in this game. Well, I thank you all for listening this week. This is it for the podcast. Hope that we get this up before Christmas, and if so, I'm recording it this morning on the December the 21st. So I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. Lance and I, again, appreciate this entire year of you listening to us, but